What's up, Guardians, and welcome back, Warlocks. I'm Profane. Thank you for checking out the video. School is back in session today as we dive into another amazing build. Have you found yourself wondering how the Geomag Stabilizers are holding up here in final shape? If so, then we'll be answering that question today, because we'll be taking a break from those prismatic builds to check out a powerful new rendition of one of the best Stormcaller builds in Destiny. This Stormcaller build will provide you with top tier levels of survivability, while giving you amazing ability regeneration along with an extremely overpowered super, making this a perfect build to take into Grandmaster Nightfalls, Lost Sectors, Dungeons, and Raids. The Geomag Stabilizers provide the intrinsic trait called Close Enough, and that increases the duration of your Chaos Reach to as much as 120%, more than doubling the duration and damage that you'll be able to deal with that super. You'll also gain 2% bonus super energy off of each Ionic trace. Ionic traces intrinsically provide 12.5% energy to your melee and grenade energy, and 15% class ability energy. So by creating a lot of Ionic traces, we'll be able to maximize the uptime of all of our abilities, and have our Chaos Reach available in less than 2 minutes flat. Through a precise combination of subclass abilities, artifact mods, and weapon loadouts, we'll be generating non-stop Ionic traces as we melt through the toughest of enemies. When it comes to our subclass tree, we've chosen to go with the electrostatic mind aspect. This is going to cause Ionic traces to be generated whenever defeating enemies with any arc ability, including enemies that are under the effects of Jolt or Blind. Collecting Ionic traces will also cause us to become amplified. While we're amplified, we'll be able to zip across the battlefield like the Flash, because we'll have increased weapon handling, increased reload speed, faster movement speed, and increased slide distance. There's no cooldown timer on Ionic traces either, and since we're also using the Elemental Pickups artifact mod, we'll be able to double the amount of Ionic traces that we would normally be able to create. Elemental Pickups will cause Ionic traces to be generated whenever rapidly defeating multiple enemies with any of our arc weapons or abilities. We've also chosen to go with the Arc Souls aspect, which will give us that autonomous turret that'll lay down a bed of sustained fire. This will greatly increase our overall damage output, and it'll help us generate even more Ionic traces. When it comes to our fragments, we're going with Spark of Shock, which is going to give our storm grenades the added benefit of jolting enemies. We've also got Spark of Ions. Now this does come with a 10-second cooldown, but it will help generate additional Ionic traces, since it'll create one extra Ionic trace every 10 seconds when defeating jolted enemies. We've got Spark of Amplitude, so whenever we rapidly defeat enemies while we're amplified, we'll generate orbs. Those orbs will help us get our super energy back faster, and they'll also help fuel armor mods like weapon surges or kickstarts. Grenade Kickstart could actually be really beneficial here. Our grenades jolt enemies, which creates Ionic traces and stuns overload champions, so the more of these we can have at the ready, the better off we'll be. As we generate orbs, we'll create armor charges. Grenade Kickstart will use those armor charges and convert them into grenade energy. Ultimately, I find this build to be more than efficient at generating enough ability energy, making it more beneficial to use weapon surge mods instead. The final fragment we're using is Spark of Resistance. Whenever we're surrounded, we'll gain a 25% bonus in damage resistance. Since we're also using the Galvanic Armor artifact mod, we'll gain an extra 30% damage resistance whenever we're amplified, giving us a total of 55% reduced incoming damage whenever we're surrounded by enemies and amplified. One of the biggest drawbacks in running a Stormcaller build, at least over the last few seasons, has been its lackluster survivability, but having as much as a 55% damage resistance bonus is going to make us damn near untouchable. We mentioned a few of our artifact mods already, but we're also using Counter Energy, which will give us another opportunity at regenerating ability energy, because whenever we stun a champion, we'll gain 25% bonus energy to the least charged ability. We're also using Shield Crush, so whenever we're amplified, we'll have a 25% increase to the regeneration rate of our grenades, and a 25% increase to their damage. So we're going to be rolling deep in bonus ability energy and bonus damage. Now when it comes to our armor and armor mods, the main character stat that we want to focus on will be resilience and recovery. Focusing on these will reduce the amount of damage that we'll take, how quickly our health regeneration kicks in, and how quickly our class ability recharges. After that, it's going to come down to either intellect or discipline to help reduce the cooldown of either our super or our grenades, which are already getting supercharged. When it comes to our armor mods, our main goal is to generate orbs, so we're using harmonic siphon mods, firepower mods, and reaper mods. Those will fuel our weapon surges or our grenade kickstart. And we've also got bomber and impact induction mods to help reduce our grenade cooldown even more. We're using the Innervation and Recuperation Boots mod, so whenever we collect those orbs, we'll gain 10% bonus grenade energy and 70 points of extra health. So between all of the different ways that we'll generate ability energy, we'll become a walking lightning storm, shredding through huge groups of enemies as if we were Thor or Zeus. Now when it comes to our choice in weapons, we've got some flexibility here, because there's a lot of great exotic weapons that will synergize with this Stormcaller build. The Trinity Ghoul and Centrifuge would be perfect options towards crowd control. The Risk Runner would add bonus shielding around us to keep us nice and protected. There's also the Navigator. It's a strand exotic, but it's also going to give us Woven Mail, providing us with another 40% damage reduction bonus. And it also severs enemies, neutering their damage output by 40%. So there's a lot of benefits to be had from running the Navigator when running in-game content. When it comes to damage scenarios, there's 3 standout exotics that I like to call on. If we're up close to the boss, then it's the Legend of Ocreus. But if we're far away, then it's the Cloud Strike or the Thunderlord. The Thunderlord remains to be one of the most versatile exotics because of its ability to handle overload champions, while also being able to put up huge chunks of damage. It's also a great weapon to make tons of Ionic traces with. When it comes to our choice in legendary weapons, the Indebted Kindness is going to be one of the more popular options. But honestly, any arc weapon with Volt Shot will have success here, so I would recommend something like the Oversoul Edict or the Aikilos SMG, since both of those weapon types will pierce barrier champion shields. Beyond having Volt Shot, I would recommend having weapons with Demolitionist, which would play off of our increased grenade use. With a never-ending supply of Ionic traces and overpowered abilities, we'll be zipping around the battlefield, exterminating everything that stands in our way. So do the Geomag Stabilizers still hold up here in the final shape? You damn right they do, and if you haven't given this amazing build a try yet, then it's certainly time you do so. And with that said, we've now come to an end of today's video, but I'd love to hear your thoughts about the Geomag Stabilizers and the current state of Warlocks. Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you need help putting together this build for yourself, then be sure to check out the Mobalytics link that's down in the description, where you'll be able to find this and a ton of other great endgame builds. And while you're down in the description, you'll also find a promo code for discounts to amazing drink supplements provided by Advanced GG, designed towards improving your energy and focus while you're giving all those enemies hell. Thank you as always for checking out the video. If you enjoyed and found it helpful, then be sure to hit that like button below, along with the subscribe button if you're new. Both are greatly appreciated, and both really do help support the channel. If you're a new Light Guardian, just starting your journey, or a battle-hardened veteran, just looking for a new home, then be sure to check out the Discord link that's down in the description, and join one of the greatest communities in all of Destiny. And until next time, Guardians, this has been Profane, wishing you all some happy hunting.